we're back at it with a Raspberry Pi 5. Yes, you've heard it. The Pi 5 is now out, more powerful than ever. Price went up a little bit, but the performance also went up as well. So Wolfanoz coming out with his updated 512 gigabyte Raspberry Pi 5 image. Recently downloaded this, wanted to check it out, wanted to show all of you. It is definitely a work of art. Over 18,500 games on here. Everything from Atari, and then it goes all the way up to about Wii and Gamecube, and that is where you're gonna find the performance start to drop on this Raspberry Pi 5. It is a small little computer, so you can only expect so much out of it. I think there might be a little bit more you can push out of this with a little bit of optimization, but really that's about it. But I've had a few days now to check this thing out, and I can tell you right now it's a work of art. For anybody wanting to get into retro gaming, you can build your own, all you want. Or there's this one right here, which is super clean. It has all the artwork done for you. It has all the game collections. Even the thing I like about these images from Wolfanoz is that you can find some really obscure games and games that are a little trickier to find that aren't part of your typical ROM sets. And so games like, for example, Salamander 2, some of these really nice arcade sets, MAME games that you can find in the arcade, but even just really complete like MsDos or Scumvm, some of these more obscure systems where they actually had some pretty cool titles and sometimes are not as complete as you might think. And then as far as graphically, this whole front end is just beautiful. There's no duplicates, all the artwork is there, so it's really nice in those for those particular reasons. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll go ahead and check out each system, the games that are included for each system, and then we'll actually show you some performance, and then I'll also share with you some things about Batocera, and then my final thoughts on the build. So as you turn it on, first thing you get a nice little intro video, and then you're at this all game screen. In the lower right hand corner there, you see 18,554 games. You can hit start on your controller anytime, especially if this is your first boot. You can go over to controller and Bluetooth, and you can map your controls here by clicking controller mapping. He does recommend an Xbox 360 controller, and that is what I'm using as well. And then you have all these other cool settings as well. You can change game settings, emulator settings. You can launch Kodi. You can download more themes. Speaking of themes, let's go ahead and see what other themes are on this particular. So he's got about 4 total: Artflix, CKAU Book, Arcade Planet, and Carbon. But remember, you can hook this thing to the internet and download more. I accidentally changed the theme. Or did I? I think I just changed one setting on there. But you could go on the network, whether that be Wi-Fi or wired, and then you have all these updates and downloads. You could download Bezel Project themes. But as far as bezels, those are all set up for you as well. So not really much to do there unless you want to remove them. Now, let's get started. A is for Apple. Now, A is for arcade in this case. You got 2,623 arcade games, and you'll notice there is an arcade vertical games subcategory. There's also a MAME subcategory with 374 games, and there's also a Final Burn Neo with 1,919. I believe this arcade set right here should have all of that all in one particular spot, but as you see, as I scroll through, there's just so many games. Right now I'm hitting the trigger, the upper right trigger on my Xbox controller, and that'll move you down a whole page of games. Remember, you can always hit select on your controller and filter game by text or jump to a particular letter. So something I really like about this image is, yes, it does have Killer Instinct. So you go down to KIL, almost there, and yes, it has Killer Instinct 1 and Killer Instinct 2, and this is the first Raspberry Pi that can actually play 3D arcade games. So that is one of the cool things about this image is, yes, you can play the old school Killer Instinct 1 and 2, and I know there's people out there that are going to buy this just because it can play that, and I don't blame you. It's a great game, and that's pretty cool. So back to arcade, you have the big, large arcade set first, which is going to have all your arcade games, and there's tons to go through. Like I said, this is one of the strengths of the image, being a really obscure games, as well as games you just don't typically find in a arcade set. It's a really nice arcade set. I know he's gone out and actually hand-picked some games, so that's really cool to see. Favorites, you can add your own favorites. Light gun, it's always good to see a light gun category for those of you who want to check this out. You know, there's lots of new light guns on the market, and so this would allow you to do it. You can always go and install your light gun drivers, and then here's all your light gun games in one easy location. Amstrad CPC, you got 753 games. I'm going to skip some of these. I'm not going to go into the actual, I'm not going to go through each exact, system, but GX 4026, Apple II, you got 663, Dafne. So another area, nice Dafne collection. It's going to have your Space Ace, it's going to have your Don Quixote, it's going to have your Cliffhanger and your Dragon's Lairs, and it's all going to be set up for you, ready to go with the controller. So a lot of people ask me that, does it have Dafne? Yes, this one does. So MAME, I'm not going to go in here and go through each one, but these are going to be your MAME games, probably a lot of the ones you see in arcades and things like that. Same with Final Burn Neo. You're going to see a lot of games that you'll recognize, a lot of shoot 'em ups and beat 'em ups, all that stuff. That's also where your CPS system, CPS 1, 2, and 3 should be as well. Capcom Play System should be all in there. Let's see, does they actually have a CP? Yeah, so they're probably in there as well. Okay, Atari 2600, you got 659, 800, you got 577, 5200, 81, ST 303, and then 7858, and then a portable Atari 76, and then Atari Jaguar, you got 56. Astrocade, you got 21 games. Sufami Turbo, you got 8 games. WonderSwan and WonderSwan Color, about 200 games total. Coleco, you got all of them. Commodore 64 is 686. It's pretty good. I mean, again, he's not, there's a lot of Commodore 64 games, and it's going to have more of the best. And so that's good that it's just not a huge collection. Commodore Amiga 1200, 1600. Channel F30, Scumvm, 84 games. Another really cool collection, all in English, all this fun stuff. Whether you want to play The Dig, or Sam & Max Hit the Road is really good. The Day of the Tentacle, Maniac Mansion, Leisure Suit Larry, and all that fun stuff. Intellivision 137, Vectrix 24, MsDos 151. So this is a really fun one for those of you who grew up on PCs growing up, and there was all those really fun games. You even got the original Warcraft, and you have Ultima. I like to spend a lot of time in here. The Oregon Trail, Incredible Machine, such a great game. There's really fun games in this MS-DOS area, and it's not all of them, but there are going to be your big games that you grew up on. The original SimCity, so much stuff. Railroad Tycoon, it goes on and on and on. But that's somewhere where I'd spend some time. MSX1, MSX2, 437 and 83, TurboGrafx 16, 339. That's a big collection right there. So big TurboGrafx collection. TurboGrafx CD, 116. Another pretty big one compared to many other images out there. So if you're into that, SuperGrafx, just 5. And Game & Watch, 59. And NES, 864. So I guess there's probably some homebrews in here, or maybe some international titles as well. But look at that artwork. Look at that. All the artwork. It's all there. It's beautiful. Yeah, you can see there's one. So Alter Ego. So maybe some homebrews and things like that. You can check with the flag here on the bottom where it was made. Family Computer Disk System 488. And isn't that cool with this theme? You just wait and then it loads. That goes automatically. What's happening to my screen right here goes to any system, tells you about it. That's the theme at work. Game Boy 860. And something I'll say about Game Boy and all these portable systems is he has a nice, I'm just jumping in really quick. He has a nice little bezel so that they fit perfectly on your screen. Whether it's a vertical arcade game or a portable game, he has it set up really well. So, okay, so the SNES is going to also mix in your Super Famicom as well in kind of one big collection, which is totally cool. It's just way easier that way. You don't have all these different categories, so they're all there. Your Japanese titles, your US titles, all in one. Virtual Boy 23. I think there's like 30 games, but maybe a few of them. I never play them anyways, but that's over 2/3 of them. Nintendo 64, 303. That's every single Nintendo 64 game. And something right off the bat, what's cool here is that they finally run without lag. I will go ahead and be playing GoldenEye later. GoldenEye tends to be one of the laggier games for Nintendo 64, and so we can finally say that it is running on the Pi 5 without any issue. Game Boy Color, 535. Just go ahead and load up a game really quick, but 535. Okay, just wanted to check out the bezels here. And isn't that crazy? Every single game has their own photo for the game. So, or the bezel for the game with their own custom bezel. So here you go. He did include some GameCube games. How many total? 36. And this is where I think, what I read was that he already overclocks this image. And so I already have my Pi with a nice little heatsink on it. I think I could probably overclock mine a lot more. In this video, I won't be overclocking it additionally. But I can tell you right now that these games are still laggy. The audio is laggy. The gameplay is a little laggy. They're playable. But for those of you out there that want to play without lag, we're not quite there yet. But again, maybe with messing around with the emulator, messing around with the resolution, maybe some of the video, the different options you have within the video options, and then overclocking as well. I think that's where we're going to be pushing the GameCube and the Wii for that matter. Game Boy Advance, again, I want to just launch a game so you can check it out. Every game has its own custom bezel, as you see here. It's a little more widescreen here on the Game Boy Advanced, so you can see more there. And you can always change that if you want it to be a little smaller. Pokemon Mini, you got 22. Nintendo DS, you got 79 games. So this is cool that there's like 1,000 Nintendo DS games, and so just picking kind of the best of the best. Your Pokemons, Sonics, Zeldas, etc. Nice little collection there. Wii, you got 9 games. So I played Donkey Kong, and I had a little bit of lag there. Super Mario Bros. I love this game. The problem with this game, though, is you need to shake the controller to use your propeller suit and some other things. So, emulating this game is not the easiest. You can always mess with those controls and stuff, but that's been my experience. But like a game like Super Smash Bros., easy to play on an Xbox 360 controller while emulating, and so fun times can be had there. Philips Video Pack 110, Beats of Rage 92. Let's see what he got for ports. All right, Brutal Doom, Duke Nukem, Mr. Boom, bunch of Quake ports. Nice little set there. So atomiswave, again, this is something that I was impressed by. Was all the atomiswave seems to run really good. I played Dolphin Blue on the Raspberry Pi 4. We were just about there. We were at like 99 to 95% performance. And now I feel like with this Pi 5, we are at 100% performance, 0 lag, runs really great. So if you're a Atomiswave fan, look no further. All these games run very solid. SG 1068, Sega Master System 344, Sega Genesis 900, Game Gear, you got 332, Sega CD 114. That's a pretty big set there. Sega Saturn, you're still going to get a little bit of lag here. I played, what did I play? I played the Die Hard Arcade, but like a game like Sega Rally runs really well, and most of these games will run just fine. But still, maybe a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done, and maybe even that little bit of extra overclocking might make the difference. But some of the games still have a little bit, but running pretty good. Sega 32X, 31, Sega Model 3, 25 games. These, again, are a little on the laggy side, in my opinion, but definitely playable. Star Wars Arcade Trilogy, great. These are both good light gun games right here. Setting those up on the Pi, not the easiest thing, but it is possible. Dreamcast, you have, what did it say there? 125, and these are all going to run just fine. Remember, this is only 500 gigabytes of space on this whole image. It's my understanding he did leave about 2 or 3 gigabytes available for saving your game and saving your different files. And then if you want to add a ROM or two, you could, like add a game that's not on here. You can absolutely do that. You can also put it on a bigger hard drive and just make the whole thing way bigger and add more games as well. But I bring this up because with the Dreamcast, each game is fairly large, just like Naomi, 126 here. And so with that, for those reasons, you can't just put you can't put all the Dreamcast games or all the Naomi games as well. You can't do all of them. You have to make decisions and make some cuts for it all to fit. Sharp 68100, ZX Sinclair 291, Neo Geo 141, Neo Geo Pocket Color and regular 49 between the two. Solaris, you got these nice little home brews. Oh, there's a cool little view too. That's a cool room. If you see, the room is a little different here. PlayStation, 128 games. Something you should know about the PlayStation collection is they all are the full games. They'll have the music on there and everything. So that is something nice. You know, some other images out there will skimp on the PlayStation games and give you the kind of compressed versions that don't have the soundtrack still on them. And so this is going to have it all. And so I'm just skipping down to go through the entire set here. But again, PlayStation games are not that small. But this little Raspberry Pi 5 makes a great PlayStation classic, if you ask me. So PSP, running great. Another Pi 5, yay. Another Pi 5 celebration. Another praise to the Pi 5. You know, you're going to get that extra little oomph here on the PSP games, where in the past you might have had a little lag. It also opens up a lot of options for you to try different emulators, try different frame skipping, as well as different upscaling on the actual emulation. For those of you who are like, what the heck is he talking about? Long story short is, you know, you can make these games look crisper, cleaner, but the higher, you know, the more you make them crisper, cleaner, higher res, the more, you know, processing power, both on the GPU, CPU. So you will need to kind of find a balance there. But I played God of War, and I had no issues whatsoever where the Pi 4 would absolutely lag there. Othello, you have 8 games there. Look at that 007 James Bond. Oh, yeah. Amazing graphics. Supervision, 44, and then we're back to 2 last collections. 2-player games if you have a friend over, and 4-player games if you have 3 other friends over, maybe potentially. But don't lie to yourself. You're never going to be in here. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what you're going to be doing. All right, so like I said, something that's so great about this image is you can play Killer Instinct 1 Arcade and Killer Instinct 2, and there's 0 lag and it runs flawlessly. That is a huge improvement over the Raspberry Pi 4, so I'm already loving it. Something I don't love is, you know, obviously the Pi keeps going up in price because, you know, the more RAM you put on there, the more processing power, you know, it requires more money. So keep in mind, you know, the Raspberry Pi 5 is not for everyone, and there are other options out there, mini PCs, getting a hard drive for your own computer, building it yourself on your own computer, or even an NVIDIA Shield or something like that. I just want to take this time to say the Raspberry Pi 5 is super cool. If you already have a Raspberry Pi 4, though, you know, keep that in mind about the performance increase. You might be fine with the Raspberry Pi 4 if you're not going to be playing any 3D arcade games or anything like that. So overall, though, I mean, it's always cool to get a new product, but the Pi 5 plus a new power supply cost me around $90, and then you have to get storage and an Xbox 360 controller. So this whole thing is going to probably run you around $120 or so, unless you have some of this stuff already. So keep that in mind that there are other devices out there like mini PCs that might actually, or even other single board computers that can outperform this. But what makes the Pi 5 so great is the community, like Wolfanoz here being part of the community and sharing this work of art with you. It's just super well put together. I mean, I would totally jam on this for a long, long time. Now, if you want to play, you know, Wii U and Dreamcast and some additional systems, you are going to need a much more powerful machine to run this. So here we are playing God of War on PSP, and as you see, it's running flawlessly. But if you missed what I said earlier in the video, if you want to upscale it more, you might run into some lag and find the limitations. Now here we go, Sega Model 3, Sega Rally Championship 2. And it's playable, but as you see here, it's got a considerable amount of lag. The next 3 systems are where the lag came in for me. Again, I think if I overclock and if I played with the settings a little bit more, I can get these to run much better. I had a really nice heatsink and fan on my Pi as is, and so it's not throttling that for that particular reason. So I really just think it, you know, kind of messing around with the emulator cores and things. So Sega Saturn, Die Hard Arcade is what we're watching now. And again, a little bit of lag here. And so some of the other Sega Saturn games, though, played no problem. So it depends on the game. And sometimes if you change the emulator, that also just totally fixes a lot of this stuff. So 1080 for not Dreamcast, for Gamecube. You can see it absolutely had lag as well. So don't think you're going to get flawless Dreamcast. But now back to the positives. Nintendo 64. It looks great. It's got the right emulator core. There's no tearing as far as the visuals. No audio issues. It's running great. It's flawless. It's really good for emulation. It's great. So that's really good. So let me summarize that. Atomiswave, Nintendo 64, 3D arcade games like Killer Instinct, some of the Sega Saturn collection. Those are where you're going to see the big improvements from the Raspberry Pi 5 over the 4. As far as Wolfanoz himself and building this image and everything, it is beautiful. It's plug and play. I have it on a 512 gigabyte micro SD card. You can get it at backups.me. I'll post a video link in the bottom as far as how can you go ahead and get it. I also saw that it was on Arcade Punks as well, so you have a couple options there. But I know that he initially posted it on Backups, so that is where he resides and probably his preferred places. Now, this is a great time to get a Raspberry Pi 5. People are doing like PlayStation 2 videos and things like that to see if you can get even more performance out of them. And I have been seeing people get some way better performance than I'm getting right now. And so I think there's more room to go as far as on that performance spectrum. Like I think there's more to pull out of this from what you're seeing. But I want to shoot this video from just a stock Pi, with a really basic setup, just so you can see what you'll probably be getting. Because I know a lot of people just kind of, they just want to play. And so this is the kind of experience you can expect. And as far as future videos, I'm thinking about playing around with the overclocking a little bit more. But you burn the image, you put it in your Raspberry Pi 5, you boot it up, Xbox 360 controller, and you're gaming. Kudos and shout out to Wolfanoz and all the people that, help him out. This image, like I said, not missing a single artwork. Great. All the metadata's there, looking really good. Bezel project installed on pretty much all the systems. All the bezels and shaders and everything looking really good. And the arcade sets and all the sets of ROMs and things are well kind of put together in a way that's very organized, one. And two, no duplicates. A lot of testing has gone in, so you're going to be able to run most of the games you see. So for those things, it's pretty kick-ass. So that's what I think. Let me know what you all think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.